Hello everyone! Today's joke of the day is, what do you call a snail on a ship? Stay tuned to find out. Our learning target today is I can write an equation in slope-intercept form from a graph. Okay, so today we're going to write equations by looking at a graph, right? So the opposite of taking an equation and then making it into a graph, we are going to look at a graph and then write the equation. Okay, so a quick review of slope-intercept form. We have y equals mx plus b, in which m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. Okay, so in order to write an equation from a line, we will need to find the slope and the y-intercept of the line. Okay, so we can look at this first example here. We're given a line, and in order to find the slope, we need to find 2 points on the line that clearly intersect with whole numbers, right? Whole number grid lines. Okay, so for example, I'm going to take this one that happens to be the y-intercept here, this point here, and then this point here that crosses the x-axis also could be used. We could have also decided to use that point if we wanted to, but I'm just going to go with those first 2 points there. Okay, and then we know that our slope m is equal to rise over run, or the change in x, or change in y over change in x. Okay, so we're going to first count up how our rise. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so to get from left to right, we have to go up 3. So in this case, our slope is going to be 3 divided by, and then our run, which is over 2. Okay, and that should be a positive 3 over 2, or positive 3 halves, because our graph is going up and to the right, right? This looks like it should be positive. Okay, and we can't simplify that any further. 3 and 2 don't have any common factors, and we're just going to leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, next thing we need to do is find our y-intercept. Okay, so we'll say our y-intercept is b. And our y-intercept is the y value where our equation, or our line, intersects our y-axis. Okay, so this is the y. Since this is the y-axis here, we know that this point, y equals 3, or 0, 3, is going to be our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is a 3, or a positive 3. Okay, and now that we know our slope and our y-intercept, we can write our equation. We will end up with y equals mx plus b, so 3 halves times x plus 3. Okay, and that is our equation for our line. Okay, let's look at this next example here. We have our slope, so we need to find some whole numbers where we can count from. Okay, so we'll take this one down there, that ends up being the y-intercept, and right here we intersect with 2 grid lines there, so that can be our other point. Okay, our rise, well, we have to go down, so it's going to end up being negative. So we'll go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's going to be negative 5. And then over 1. So, and that's 1 to the right, so that would be a positive 1. Okay, so we have our slope is negative 5 divided by 1, which equals negative 5. Okay, that would simplify to negative 5. All right, finally, we want to look at our y-intercept here, is right there on the y-axis at negative 3. Okay, so when we write our equation, we end up with y equals mx, so negative 5 times x, plus our y-intercept, which is negative 3. So we'll just have plus negative 3 or minus 3. Okay, and that is the equation for our line. All right, then let's look at this next one. We want to find our slope, so we need to pick 2 points. I'll pick this one here, and maybe I'll pick this one right here. Okay, clearly intersects those grid lines. Our rise, so we go up 1 over our run, which is 1, 2. We go over 2. Should be positive because we have a positive slope graph, and so our slope is going to be 1/2. Then next we need our y-intercept, which looks like it is right there, at b equals 3. So if we write our equation, we get y equals 1/2 times x plus 3. Okay, mx plus b. All right, let's look at another example here then. Our slope m is equal to, well, first let's figure out some points. Let's take this point down here. Okay, rise over run. So we're going down. It's going to be a downward sloping graph, so we know it's going to be negative. We go down 2. Divided by 1, 2, 3, we go over 3. Okay, so our slope is negative 2/3. And then our y-intercept, b, is right here, where we intersect the y-axis, which is at negative 2. So if we write our equation, we just fill those in. We end up with negative 2/3 x minus 2. All right, let's look at this one here. We have, let's choose that point there. So our slope is, again, going to be negative because we have a downward sloping graph. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, negative 4 divided by, and then over 2. 1, 2, 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 gives us negative 2 for our slope. And then our y-intercept b is equal to, oh, it's right there, equal to positive 2. So we end up with y equals negative 2x plus 2. Okay. All right, this one looks a little different. Okay, in this case, we have a vertical line, and that means that our x value is staying the same the whole time. Okay, our x value is always the same, right? For any given y value, our x value is going to be negative 2, right? So, so in that case, we actually don't have a y. We would usually use y equals mx plus b. But in this case, we're just having x staying the same the whole time, which means that x is going to equal whatever that value is. And in this case, it's negative 2. X equals negative 2. And that is our line. That is the equation for this line here. Okay, we can double check that and make sure that it makes sense. Okay, we should have an undefined slope, so we can't really have anything involving slope. And our y values, no matter what they are, x is always going to be negative 2. So that is the equation for our line. Okay, now this one has the opposite, where we for any given x, our y value is going to be negative 2. So in this case, we know our slope is going to be 0. So we can look at this and say that we're going to have m equal to 0. Okay, and we do have a y-intercept, which would be b, and that would be equal to, well, that's right there, at negative 2. Okay, and we can actually use our formula for this one. So we would end up with y equals 0x minus 2. But 0x just goes away. 0 times anything is 0. And then 0 minus 2 is just going to be negative 2. So y equals negative 2 is our equation for that line. Okay, so in order to find the equation for a line from a graph, you need to find the slope and you need to find the y-intercept. And then you can just use slope-intercept form. All right, now for the answer to the joke of the day. What do you call a snail on a ship? You call him a snailer. Thanks for watching and have a great day.